And let's take a bit more custard. That is old-fashioned at best. That is an 18th century pudding. It's a bread pudding with suet. You don't see that anymore. There you go. Look at that for a fantastic stick to your ribs pudding. Come on. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick today. 18th century pudding, long lost bread pudding. Bread puddings have evolved. They don't use suet anymore. We're going to put suet in the bread pudding like they did way back in the 18th century, Victorian age, all that carry on. And then it suddenly changed. People stopped using it. However, we're going to put it in today. Now, it's a cracking recipe, and you can eat these as slices with a pot of tea, or just slice it up and have it with custard. It's easy. Now, in here, I've got mixed fruit, okay, and you can have whatever fruit you like. Okay, I've got a couple of tea bags. I'm going to stick the kettle on, and we're going to tip some hot water in there and steep this fruit for a couple of hours. And so it plumps up a little bit, that's all. So it is no more than just tip some water in there. And we want a nice black tea. Black tea. Obviously the tea is going to come out of the tea bags and the fruit is going to soak it up. Now for all those people who are going to say, what about a tot of rum? Well, what about a tot of rum? There's rum in there. Let's soak that up as well. There you go. So that's all we do. We don't even have to mash it up. We just leave it to steep. Nice and straightforward. There you go. So we're keeping this 100% British. We've got golden syrup or treacle, so that means you can use molasses. And we've got suet. You can either use beef suet or veg suet. That's up to you. Nice and straightforward, easy recipe to come together. And we got a loaf of bread which we're going to rip up because obviously we're making a bread pudding. There you go. So I've already started, but all we're doing, we're taking an old dried out loaf and we're just ripping it up. Just rip up your bread. Easy as that. So there you go, ripped up, nice and straightforward. Okay, we need to be taking our milk. I want to chuck all our milk in there. Now we need to be stirring this in, and we're going to let it soak in, and we're going to just keep giving it a little stir till it absorbs. And with this one, we're going to give it a little bit of a mashing as we go along. Now normally when I make bread puddings, I just let it soak, let it find its own way. But we're sort of sticking to an original type recipe, you know. So we're just going to give that about 15 minutes or so. And all we're going to do is keep coming along. Give it a little squash, a little wedge down like that. And then all the dry bits are obviously going to get soaked up with the milk. There you go. Now you want your oven on for about 160 because it's going to bake for about an hour and 15, hour and a half. It's an old-fashioned pudding, and what we'll do is when it goes in there, when we bake it, if it's starting to brown too quickly over the top, put some foil over or cover. Okay, in there with our suet and stir it in. Now, as you notice, this is not a bread and butter pudding. This is a bread and suet, so it's still a level of fat. The traditional way before it all ended up with butter. But obviously, suet back then didn't come made like this, you know. Suet probably came straight from the animal. And for all those people who want to find out what suet is, go search it online. And if you want to buy a tour of suet, search that online too. Okay, our fruit. Give your tea bags a little wring out. We might as well have the tea, haven't we? And we've got a little bit of fluid in there. That's going in as well. Just chuck it all in. Got a couple of eggs. Give those a little beating. Get that in there. Now we're starting to look like a bit of a pudding. Look at all that. Stir that through. Then we're going to add some golden syrup, some sugar, and some spices. In there, your sugar. Now I've got caramel granulated. Use brown sugar if you can. I don't have enough, so it doesn't matter. You can use white sugar. Don't stress over it, you know. It's a pudding. It has to be a little bit sweet. Right, I'm going to use golden syrup for this one. You can use treacle. It goes a bit darker, and that's a bit more towards the Victorian type pudding. Okay, we want a couple of tablespoons of golden syrup. Now, no one said this is not sweet. I mean, it's not going to be overly sweet. Sugar and golden syrup cooked in here, and we're not going to eat it all, are we? Not in one sitting anyway. There we go. Now we want to be adding some spices. We are going to use mixed spice. That would be a traditional back then. And mixed spice, British mixed spice, there's a link in the channel if you want to make it. Now this is going to be about 1.5 teaspoons in here. It's very spiced, if you like. You know, and if you're used to spices, mixed spice, this is a bit like pumpkin spice. In fact, it's very similar indeed. What we got here, we got nutmeg. So we're going to increase the spice just a little bit. We got about 1/2 teaspoon there. And this one is ground cinnamon. Now the thing is, with the mixed spice, the spice in mixed spice is predominantly cinnamon. So all the people that say, I don't eat cinnamon, but then they make and eat things with mixed spice, read the label. Okay, let's give that a mix. You don't get much more traditional than that, I can tell you now. Suet and bread, some mixed spice, and some fruit. That is really traditional right there. I've got a 9x13 dish and a tray. Just grease out your tray. There we go. It's a case of dump that lot in there. And you do not have to flatten anything. It's going to find its own way. That's the beauty about these old-fashioned puddings. That goes in the oven for about 1.5 hours at 160. In we go. So when it's at its time, out it comes. Oof. That is fabulous. We've got a nice crusty top there. Skewer in there. Skewer out of there. Clean as a whistle. That is done. That's been in about 1 hour and 10 minutes actually. Now they do say up to 1.5 hours, but you know, you've just got to watch your own oven. That's fantastic. We just need to let that cool down. Beautiful. What a pudding. You know, you can't beat tradition. So you know me, I can't wait. So we're going in here. We've got to get in here to this pudding. Come on. We're taking a corner. Of course we are. Can we get in? Oh, look at that. Oh, wow, that's hot. Oh, look there. Look at that. Puffed up pudding. Come on. On there. Oh, look at that. That is absolutely sensational. And let's take a bit more custard on there. That is old-fashioned at best. That is an 18th century pudding. It's a bread pudding with suet. You don't see that anymore. There you go. Look at that for a fantastic stick to your ribs pudding. Come on. Come on, we're in. Absolutely fabulous. Look at that. Oh yeah. Oh, that is amazing. Oh, it's a bit warm. Oh, when it goes cold, fantastic with a cup of tea. Beautiful pudding. Look how that all sticks together. Oh, that is incredible. I've got it with custard, serve it with cream, ice cream. Oh, that is old-fashioned at best. That is absolutely sensational. What a fantastic pudding. Why are these old puddings forgotten? Come on. Don't forget them, make them. There you go. That's so easy to make. Fantastic pudding. It's going to be superb with a cup of tea. If you like what we're doing, share with your friends. Tell them how easy it is to make one of these traditional bread suet puddings. And if you do like what we're doing, don't forget, give it the big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. We'll catch you in the next video. That is sensational.